All right.
All right. Good morning, everybody. My Urban Eco Explorers. We are really excited to have Miss Cheryl from the Prince Edward Point Bird Observatory talking to us today about our animal we've been studying, which is, of course, birds. So Miss Cheryl's just going to take us through a couple of things, and we're just going to watch and listen and absorb, and then after we'll ask some questions. And then for those of you who aren't here, I've got some of your questions.
Oh, okay.
And then
all right.
So, Miss Cheryl, take it away.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. So Prince Edward Point Bird Observatory is a scientific research center in Prince Edward County. And we capture migratory birds in the spring and fall, put a special band on their leg, and then record data about those birds and release them to continue their journey. And we're studying birds in that way. So if that bird is found again, someone can read the band and enter it into a database, and they'll find out all about that bird and where it's been and how long it's been flying around. And I can show you some bands. I have some here. Let me just switch my camera around for you so you can see them. So this is a good size band you can see here. This would go on something like maybe a big duck, or I think it's a bit small for a goose. And you can see it's got some letters on it. Normally they would have numbers. Every bird gets its own number. And then I have another one on here. Let me find it so you can see it. This is the teeniest, tiniest one. Can you see that one there? That is a band for what bird? What's our smallest bird? Do any of you know? The hummingbird is our tiniest bird. So that band will fit a hummingbird, and it does have a number on it.
Wow.
Yes, even the hummingbirds get their own number. Hummingbirds don't do a lot of walking, so they have very, very tiny legs. Very tiny legs. So I've brought some other birds with me today. Sadly, the birds I have are not alive. They're bird skins. That means that the birds, oh, I've got noisy birds at my house right now. But let's take a look at those noisy birds and see what they're up to while they're here.
I'm fairly certain Brody and Braden could identify that one.
I think they could. Are they still there? They're up in the tree. Let me see if I can get this to zoom for us. No. Can you tell by the sound?
Sounds like a crow of some sort.
It is a blackbird, like a crow, only this one is smaller. And it has sort of a purpley head. I don't know why I can't get that to open now, but I think they're up in the tree. And it's a family, so they come together, and the little ones are very, very noisy. So I'll put this back together for us. So those were common grackles. They're actually quite beautiful. And they're giving us something that's the first thing that we know we look for when we're going out birding. We use this acronym. I'm going to show you these letters here. There you go. So SH is the acronym. And each letter stands for something that we'll look for that help us identify a bird. So the very first one is what made me know those blackbirds were here. Do you know what that was?
Sound.
Sound, right on. Let me see. I think you know this sound. We can compare it to the one you just heard, the blackbird. And try this. Do you know what that one is?
American crow.
Right on. Right
nice,
on. You're very good. How about, let's try this one. I just have to change it down to the right number. This one's tricky. It's going to give us 3 different sounds for this bird. That little chirp. And then it laughs.
Woodpecker.
Right on. High five for you, man. Give him a high five because he got it. That's a woodpecker. And we got one more here. I think you'll know this one too. My book is slow to change pages. Okay. It's saying his name.
Oh, Chickadee.
Chickadee, right. So when we give words, people words, to a bird song, we call that mnemonics. So we think the chickadee is saying chickadee dee dee dee. And it sounds like that to our ears. I'm not sure what it sounds like to a chickadee. How about this one?
Cheeseburger.
I don't know why these birds would be singing about cheeseburgers. I think he's saying, hi, sweetie. Hi, sweetie. That's the springtime call of a little tiny bird we just heard. Same bird, different song. That's the chickadee again. So the sound is one of the first things that tells us there's a bird there. And when we see the bird, what was the comment that I made about the blackbird when you thought maybe it was a crow? What did I say about him?
You said that it's a blackbird.
It's a blackbird, and that he was maybe too small to be a crow.
Oh, yeah, a little bit too small.
Too small. So size is the next thing. And when we're talking about birds, we like to find a bird that everybody knows so that we can say, if you tell me I saw a bird, my first question should be, was it bigger or smaller than this bird? Let me see here. And this bird here. Do you know this bird?
Robin.
Robin, right. He has a white eye because he, as I said, he's dehydrated. He's all dried out. So most people know a robin to see it. So we can use that one for size. And we say, is it bigger or smaller than a robin? So is a crow bigger or smaller than a robin?
Bigger. Bigger.
Bigger, right on. So when we're looking in the bird book to find our bird, we know we have to go to the front half of the book for the big birds. If it's a small bird, we go to the back half of the book where the small birds are. Now we got another S. We've got sound and size, and this next one is a sound.
Shape.
Oh, you guys are good. You are
They're
good.
so good.
There are lots of shapes on birds, right? Their wings are different shapes. Some have long necks, some have short necks. I'm talking, you can't see me. Some have big, long, pointy wings. Others have fingers on their wings. My favorite part of a bird to look at for shape is their beak. So I'm going to show you this guy's beak and see what you think. What could he eat with a beak like this?
Depends on.
Go, camera. Look at that beak.
That'd be
So,
good for like insects.
it could be good for eating insects. It's a big, thick, strong beak. I'm going to show you another beak and see what you think this one would be good for. If this is an insect beak, what is this little tiny skinny beak good for? Have I got him in focus?
Looks like tweezers.
They look like, yeah, little pointy ones. Which one do you think would be better for cracking seeds and nuts?
The big one, big strong
The
one.
big one, yeah. And you know his name is actually Big Beak in French. Gross beak is his name. He's a gross beak because he has a big, thick beak. But lots of little birds have big triangular shaped beaks for cracking seeds and nuts. This fellow's favorite food, he likes all kinds of nuts and berries, but he loves potato beetles. Crunchy potato beetles. Yummy, he says. This little guy with his tiny wee beak, he can poke in leaves and pick out insects and bugs. He can eat a few seeds, but not his favorite food. He's going to be poking around in the leaves for insects with that beak. So seeds and insects. Now the next letter on our chart was a C. What do you think we'd be looking at for birds that starts with C?
Oh, Brayden, do you know what? I know.
Yeah.
Is it color?
Absolutely, it's color. And if I said to you, I saw a blue bird, what bird would you think what would you do if I said, oh, I saw this blue bird? What would you say? You'd say a blue jay?
Yeah.
Like this?
Yeah, that's the most common blue bird.
All right. Remember I said you should ask me a question? If I say I saw a bird, what's the first question you should ask me?
Sound.
Size.
Oh, size.
Right? I saw a bird, and you should say, what size was it? Because the blue bird I saw was this fellow. Ooh. Look how blue he's almost as blue as your shirt. So this is, I would have to say he's a tiny bird, smaller than a robin, bigger than a robin. This guy's name is Indigo Bunting. Indigo Bunting. He's very, very blue. But and you can see he's got that seed cracker beak. So size and helps us determine when we have other things that are the same. So that's color. And then we have, I'm going to show you a bird because I think you'll know him, and I don't want his name. I want to know where you see him. So where he lives, his habitat. Here he comes. Doop-de-doop-de-doo. Doop-de-doop-de-doo. He's a big bird. Look at how big he is.
I know.
You probably know his name, but I want to know where you see him living.
Can I look in or do you have it? No.
Think about where you've seen him. Do you see him in the forest?
No.
No.
I think he's a city bird.
You're right. He's a city bird. He's discovered people are a great source of food. So he lives in the city and sometimes on farms, but he likes to be near people. So this is a pigeon or a rock dove. If we saw a bird that looked this size and it was floating on a pond, would we think it's a pigeon?
No.
No, it's the wrong habitat. So sometimes habitat can help us identify a bird.
Is that the next thing?
The next thing, that's what we're doing right now. That's the next letter is H, habitat, right? And then there's one more H, and that's for habits. I'm going a little bit quick, so you stop me if you want, because I have a project I want to work on today. This fellow has an interesting habit. Here he comes.
Oh,
Do you think you know who he is already?
he's a woodpecker.
Oh, you're right. You guys are really good with your birds. So he's going to hop up. Actually, I have a tree branch he can hop on. He's going to hop up the tree branch like this. So that's his habit. He doesn't sit out on the end of a branch and sing away beautifully like some of the other birds. He's usually up against the trunk. Sometimes he goes along a branch, but it's usually up and down, up for him. And the other thing he does is peck those holes in the tree branch like that. Now this guy has a very big beak. He needs it strong. He has a little cousin. Let me get his cousin out. Here's his little cousin. So if you see a black and white bird going up a trunk of a tree, and the first thing you say is, wow, what a big beak. That's this guy, hairy woodpecker. If you see a black and white little woodpecker going up a tree and you say, oh, isn't he cute? That's the downy woodpecker because he's so much smaller. Not a baby, he's a full-grown bird. And what else do you notice about these birds?
Their feathers is like a mixture of black and white.
Yes,
And
they're black and white.
They have like red coming off the head.
Brilliant. Yes, they do. That tells us something special about these birds. These are boys. The girls don't have any red spots. So that's how we can tell the boys from the girls for the woodpeckers, for these woodpeckers. Excellent. Any questions about birds so far?
Yes, I have a few. Where are they?
Sure, I like questions.
Brody has great questions.
All right.
This one. How did COVID-19 affect your work?
Oh, well, I usually visit with schools, and I have school groups that come out to the observatory to see the banding, so we couldn't do any of that. So I've had to go online and make a whole new thing for students who are at home called the Get Out Kids Club. You can go there for free and get all kinds of activities, and we're going to do one of those activities this morning. So that's what we've done. And I'm doing things like this talk, and I did a summer camp last week, just the staff because they were training. So we're finding our way, but it's different, very different.
Good question.
Yes.
What is your favorite bird that flies through the observatory and gets banned?
My favorite bird is the little chickadee because he's just so sweet and friendly, and he doesn't bother anyone, but he's very, very helpful. Whenever there's danger, he goes chickadee dee 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 and warns all the other birds so they can get to safety. And the more D's, the more dangerous he thinks the predator is. So when I come out in the morning to fill my feeder, the chickadees go chickadee dee dee. I'm kind of boring, and they know I'm not dangerous. But if the hawk flies through my yard, it's chickadee dee 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 dee, chickadee dee 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 dee, and then all the little birds, the nuthatches and the little woodpeckers, they all fly away and hide, or they freeze where they are. So I like the little chickadee. What's your favorite bird?
I like chickadees as well. I like raptors.
Ah.
The type of raptor would
I
probably be
like
my favorite bird.
woodpeckers.
Woodpeckers are pretty cool. Did you know that if you were a woodpecker and you stuck your tongue out it would go all the way down to your belly button. That's how long their tongue is.
Whoa!
And they can't just stick it in their beak. They have to, it's too long. So they take it round behind their head and it attaches up by their eyes. And then when they need to stick it out, it's elasticy and it stretches out, grabs the bug out of the hole they've pecked and pulls it back in. That's how they store that great big tongue. Boy, the blue jays are noisy today. Wow. I do have a bird of prey here. What do you think will be different about the birds of prey from the other birds we were looking at?
Their talons are a lot bigger and stronger because that's how they hunt.
That's right. And that's the right word too. Their talons will be bigger. And what else might be different? We looked at some.
They'll probably be bigger. Just them in general will probably be bigger than most of the other birds.
Possibly, but not always. Not always. The swan's a very big bird, but it is not a hunting bird. It's not a predator bird, is it? Take a look at Mr. Pigeon again. I'm going to switch the camera again.
It is
Take a look at Mr. Pigeon. When we look at him, can you see where his eyes are?
Yeah.
They're on the side of his head. Where will the predator's eyes be?
Raptors have it on the front of their head like humans do.
That's right. Their eyes are on the front. They're going to be looking straight ahead so they can focus on their prey. Mr. Pigeon here is prey, so he wants to see all around everywhere, so his eyes are on the side of his head. Now, once they catch their prey, what are they going to need to eat it with?
Their beak, so they have
Right.
a stronger beak with like better ability to rip.
Right. They have a great big hooked beak. So let's take a look at, now you said you thought he was going to be a big predator?
Well, there are some that are most of them are pretty big.
Yeah, how about this? How about this one? He's not much bigger than my hand. Any idea who he might be? There's his eye.
Barn owl?
This guy's even smaller. This is the little saw-whet owl. And this is one that we band at our observatory in this fall when they're migrating. You can see his really sharp little talons there. But he is pretty small, so that's sort of yeah. His ears, one's a little bit higher than the other, so he hears in 3D, but he only sees in 2D. That's why he has to keep tipping his head so he can see properly. And here's his friend over here. Might have to back way up so you can see the entire wings. Yeah, so there's a wing, and it's longer than my arm. Oh, it's about the same length as my arm. So these are not dehydrated birds. These are taxidermied. That means they've taken the skin and feathers off and put a fake body and put it back together, and they've made him perch. So this guy's been sitting on this stick since 1981. And you'll notice he's got 2 toes in front, and over here he's got 3 toes in front. They can move 1 toe forward or backward depending on what they want to do with their toes. If they want to catch prey, they put 2 front and 2 back. And if they want to sit on a log like this or a branch like this, they can put 3 forward like that. All right, so what we're going to do today, I thought, unless you have more questions about birds, I'm going to show you how to make a little bird bath for your yard. Do you have a bird bath already? No? All right, so I'm just going to move you around here a little bit so you can see what I've got. So it's really simple to make a bird bath. And if you go to our website, we actually have instructions on how to make a bird bath in our Get Out Kids Club. So you can just download that, it's free, and make a bird bath or some other things. So you want a dish, and I got this dish out, but it's really shallow. So that would mean I have to fill it every day. I'm a little bit lazy, so I probably wouldn't use that one, but it's a nice one. And then I have this one, which is a little bit, it's about 2.5 inches deep, and that's about right for a bird bath. So it's perfect, and it's nice and big. I won't have to fill it every day. So I got my dish, then I go out to find a rock. Now I like this nice smooth rock, but what would be the problem with a smooth rock?
Too big.
It is too big. Nobody can take a bath when the rock is filling up my dish. So, right, too big, and it might be too slippery. There's my turkey feather flowing around. And the same with this one, too big. I kind of like this rough one. The birds can get a good grip. I can set it off to one side of my dish, and then they have room for a bath, and little ones can sit here to drink. I'll take it out. I could take it out to my garden, or I could put it in, say, something like this, a little hanging plant hanger. Do that, and now I can hang my bird bath up in a tree. Or I could stick it in a tomato basket if you've got one, like this. Let's see if I can get it in there for you. You can get dishes that will have a rim and they'll hang on the top of this, but there it is on a tomato basket, so you can see it's up off the ground. That's a good idea to have your bird feeder up high so predators like house cats can't get at your bird when it's taking a bath. Cats are the #1 killer of birds. Or I could set the bird bath in my garden. You can see that we have a drought, how dry my garden is, and then I can fill it up with some water and keep an eye on it. So if you look over here, I have a tiny bird bath already with a rock in it, and the water's in it, and I just changed that water out today. We'll take a look at some of my other bird baths. I was hoping the hummingbird would come today. This big bird bath is my all-year bird bath. So you can see that, oh, that was lovely. Look at that. Can you see them? Isn't he pretty? Bonus, those emerald green dragonflies are so lovely. Oh, I see him move his head.
Beautiful.
Yeah, he was gorgeous. Oh, took a dip in my... This bird bath has a plug because it's heated, and I can keep the water in the winter for the birds. And I have one here up in my tree to keep the birds safe. That's the one the squirrels like. And I have one more over here that the turkeys like. They come to my yard. And this one, I have a jug over it. And as long as I open the lid, it will start dripping. And that dripping sound attracts the birds and animals. They like that sound. Last spring, I had a hawk take a bath in that bird bath. And I have one more little bath I can show you, getting a tour of my garden, such as it is. This one here. This one is full of little rocks. Let's see if I can put a shadow on it for you. And this is for pollinators, for butterflies and bees. They can land on the rocks, get a drink of water. Even if the water level goes down, they can reach in between. And I just have this one sitting up off the ground on a flower pot to keep them a little bit safer. Yeah, no hummingbird. How are we doing for time?
Oh, we're good.
Okay, excellent.
We have 2 more questions. So,
Oh, good. I like questions. What are your questions?
Do you know if some boys have 4 wings or just 2?
I'm sorry? Do I know?
If boys have 4 wings or just 2, like if some birds have 4 wings or they only have 2 wings. Every bird
Birds only have 2 wings, but insects can have 4 wings, but not birds.
No, insect that has 4 wings.
The things that usually make birds different boys to girls would be color is the first thing. Size sometimes. So your raptors that you like, the girl raptors are much bigger than the boy raptors because they have to carry the eggs. And that's a lot of work when you're flying and hunting. So they're bigger and stronger than the boys. I have a boy-girl question for you here. Do you know this blackbird?
Yes, the red-winged blackbird.
Right. Isn't that a clever name for him? Somebody was very creative. Red-winged blackbird. That's the red-winged blackbird. How about this one? This stripy brown one.
Is that the song sparrow?
You know, you're very close, but it's not.
I remember it.
Yeah, I'm giving you a clue. This guy likes this one. He says, come and sit on my nest. This is the girl red-winged blackbird.
Oh, it's the girl red-winged blackbird.
Yes, so color can sometimes trick you. They're not always the same color. So this is called color dimorphism or sexual dimorphism. The girls are brown and stripy. Why do you think she's all brown and stripy?
Camouflage.
Perfect, yes, camouflage. She can sit on that nest and hide. And before she sits on the nest, she's got all the eggs. So she wants to be able to hide in the bushes. And when she's eating and moving around building her nest, she doesn't want to be seen. Why is he bother being so colorful? Wouldn't it be safer for him to be camouflaged too?
It would be safer. I'm not sure why he isn't
Oh, that's because you're not quite old enough yet, but he wants a girlfriend. So he's going to dress up, look fancy, and she's going to go, oh, wow, you're smashing. And away they go and make a nest. He also wants to distract the predators who might be sniffing around looking for the nest, so he can make a big flashy show and say, come over here, chase me, and draw the predators away by being more obvious. Can you think of any other birds that are color dimorphic? Two different colors, the boy and the girl? We have a bright red one that comes to our feeders.
Cardinals?
Yes. What color is the female?
Females. Is the female the red one? No, the male is the...
Right. The bright colored one is going to be the boy almost every time. The kingfisher's the one that changes that up. She's the one with the brown on her chest, and he is just plain. But every time you make a rule, nature goes, oh, no, wait, we'll show you something different. We talked a little bit about the chickadee, and I have a tiny wee chickadee here. He's having a really bad hair day.
Wow.
But isn't he's very tiny.
Yeah.
He's got like a little bit of a mohawk.
Tiny. Yes, he does. What about this fellow? Similar colors. Is this also a chickadee?
Yeah. No, it looks like a woodpecker the beak looks like a woodpecker beak.
Beak looks a little bit like a woodpecker, but it's a pretty skinny point, and it's thin this way too, across.
Yes, it is. I don't think it's a chickadee.
He's not a chickadee for sure, because look how different their beaks are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this fellow here is a nuthatch, and he likes to go upside down on a tree looking for bugs. It's like they don't even know about gravity. But they look very similar. So if you said size, you'd be pretty close. They both have black caps, but the beak tells us they're different. Their colors are a little bit different. This one's more brown, this one's more gray blue. The chickadee has buff on the sides, that brown color, and the little nuthatch, he has a little bit of brown down here. Yeah. And the nuthatch has very long wings, and the chickadee has very short wings. There's the tail, and there's the end of the wings, and this guy's wings go right to the end of his tail. Either his wings are long or his tail is short. I'm not really sure. But those are things you look for when you're trying to identify a bird. Okay.
If you see a bird that is hurt, do you take it to the observatory and help? Or if you do you then keep it in the observatory or release it back into the wild?
If we find an injured bird at the observatory, we have a rescue center close by that we can take them to called Sandy Pines, and they will help the bird recover and release the bird. So there's probably a bird rescue in your area. I know there's a big one in Kitchener, and you're not too far from Kitchener. So there are lots of bird rescues around that it's good to know where they are before you have to find them, because it's usually you're anxious for the bird to be safe. Yeah. Baby birds are trickier. Sometimes, especially this time of year, they have their feathers, they're out of their nest, and we think they're been abandoned by their parents, but really wait almost a day to make sure that there's no parent, because the parents see you, they're not going to come by and feed their baby. They don't want to give away where their baby's supposed to be hiding. So just be patient and make sure before you pick up a baby bird, yeah, that's got feathers on it. If it doesn't have feathers, you could probably find the nest close by and put it back in, and it would be fine. Birds can't smell much. Any other questions?
I don't have any other.
We just had one from a kiddo who can't make it today, Miss Cheryl, and the question was, what's the oldest bird you've ever seen at the Bird Observatory?
At the Bird Observatory, we had a sharp-shinned hawk. So that's a small hawk that eats birds. And it has long, long legs, skinny legs, so it can reach into the bushes and grab little birds. And it was banded in Mexico, and we captured it 9 years later in Prince Edward County. Oh wait, that's not the oldest. We had a little Magnolia Warbler, this size bird, here you go. And it was banded at Point Pelee, and we captured it, and it had been flying back and forth for 18 years.
Wow.
For a teeny tiny bird, that's pretty amazing.
That's incredible.
Amazing, yeah. So we do have some old birds. I know there was a red-tailed hawk that was banded, and when it was found still alive, it was 25 years that it had been living in the New York State on Ontario area, going back and forth across the lake. And yeah, that's a long time. And it had been a rescue bird that was rehabilitated, and they banded it, recorded the number, and released it. And then 25 years later, it was captured again, and the band was able to be, they were able to find the number in the database and find out the history of that bird. That's a good question.
Awesome. Okay, well, Miss Cheryl, we just want to thank you so much for teaching us all about birds and how to identify them, and showing us a little bit about your garden and all your feathered friends you have there. It was a fantastic end to our bird week, and we just want to thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, and I will send you the link to the story.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right, guys.
Okay.
We'll see you later. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye, boys.
Could you post the website for the
the Get Out Kids Club?
Yeah, I can. Miss Cheryl can send it to me, Brody, and then I'll put it up on our dojo page. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
Perfect.
I will do that. Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.